This video is sponsored by Squarespace. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, build your online presence with Squarespace.
Hey everyone, I'm Ace of Clay and welcome to another sculpting video. If you're new here, I'm a sculptor and every week I make a new sculpture. Today we're continuing spooky season with another diorama. This time it's this cool little skeleton guy coming up from behind a tombstone. This was a super fun project. I used a bunch of little miniature accessories and stuff for the base, and I used some fabric on the ghoul. I think it's my favorite Halloween diorama I've done so far, and I really hope you enjoy watching me make it from start to finish. And then before we get started, the seamstress is a plush and she is available right now. She's my second plush and I hope you love her as much as I do. She has so many details on her and she is only available for a limited time. Grab yours at the link below before time runs out, because once she is gone forever. And now without further ado, let's get started. Alright, here we go. Let's start with the base and the supporting structure for our ghoul. I got this aluminum wire here. I'm going to start bending it out into a circle shape and then bring a piece of it upwards to support the ghoul. And then all the tools and materials that you see me use in this video are listed in the description box below, along with my affiliate links if you want to purchase anything. Alright, now that I'm done with that wire, let's go ahead and bulk out the base a little bit with some aluminum foil. And then I'm going to cover this in some Super Sculpey Ultralight. And once we're done, we're going to go ahead and get this in the oven. And once it's baked and completely cooled down, it's time to start our ghoul skeleton type guy. I'm basically just going to sculpt a pretty simplified skeleton. So let's go ahead and start the ribs by wrapping some wire around the spine. And then I soon discover that this is not going to work because the wire is not staying in place. And it was really annoying. Yeah, nope. So in order to make the wire stay, I'm going to add some clay to the spine, and then hopefully that will anchor the wire that I start tying on. Got a little bit of bacon bun on there too. And we'll just attach this really quick and then go back to adding our ribs. And there we go. This is much better. The wire is going to stay right where I want it. Now that that worked pretty well, let's go ahead and add the other ribs really fast. And now it's time to start the painstaking, somewhat annoying process of adding little snakes of clay to every one of these little wires. And I'm using cos clay for these because it stays flexible after you bake it, and I'll be able to reposition this thing however I want, even when he's completely done. So let's just go ahead and get all those covered. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and make the arms out of my wire and then attach those. I'm just wire wrapping them just so they're a little stiffer. This wire is very flimsy if you don't do this. And then keep in mind, this is a simplified skeleton figure. This is not anatomy class. Now I just want to wrap these on like I did with the ribs, and I am well aware that this is not how your arms are attached. This is all going to be covered later on with some creepy cloth. Now let's go ahead and cover all that exposed wire with some more cos clay. Now I'm just using this tool here, the neck of this tool here, to create all the individual vertebrae in the spine. Now as you can see, I did not add a sternum. I actually cut the wire to make them shorter. Just thought it was a little creepier. And this is going to be easier to paint too. But that wasn't my intention. Now we're going to finish up some bones here, give them a little bit of texture, make them look weathered and old and worn and just sick of everything. Now we're going to go ahead and make his hands, making the fingers individually like so.
and then we'll go from there and start his head. Alright, now for the skull, I've got this ball of aluminum foil that I covered in more clay, and we're going to start pressing out the features. I've sculpted so many skulls in my time as a sculptor that this is a pretty straightforward process. Didn't even have to look at a picture, even though it is not anatomically correct. It gets the point across, okay? Now to finish off the texture on the skull, I'm just using a Bacon Bond covered brush and just dabbing it on the surface. This will make it nice and bumpy. Now let's attach it. After we add more Bacon Bond into the hole in his head, just stick it on like that. And there we go. Our skeleton is ready to bake after I add more Bacon Bond all over everything. Looking pretty good, and then he's ready to bake. And while he's baking, let's take a second to talk about our sponsor.
Alright, now before we get into the rest of the video, let's take a second to talk about our sponsor, Squarespace. Whether you're a big business, a small business, a freelance designer, or sculptor like me, Squarespace has everything you need to showcase your brand, sell your products, and more. I've been using Squarespace for over 3 years now, even before they started sponsoring me, and I could not be happier with my experience. Their products are so streamlined and so easy to use that managing my website, aceofclay.com, is truly a breeze. Some of my favorite features include the portfolios and galleries. In my line of work, I have to show everything that I make to the world, and Squarespace's beautiful portfolios allow me to do just that. I even opened my online store where I sell stickers, posters, even original sculpts, and Squarespace makes everything so easy. I can track my inventory, even print shipping labels, I get notifications when I get a sale, and everything I need is right there in the platform. You can even sell digital downloads. They really have everything you need to start selling online. And at this day and age, if you're an online business, you've got to have a social media presence, and Squarespace allows you to integrate all your social media into any page of your website. So if everything I said sounds good, head on over to squarespace.com, start a free trial, and when you're ready to go live, go to squarespace.com/aceofclay to save 10% on your purchase of a website or domain using my code aceofclay. Thanks again, Squarespace, for sponsoring this video. Now back to our sculpture.
And now that it's baked and completely cooled down, I'm going to cover the base in some Super Sculpey Original. And once all my clay is on, I'm just going to texture it by rolling this ball of aluminum foil on the surface. This is a super easy and super effective way to give the texture of like grass, stone, rock, whatever, dirt. And I'm going to be adding little model making pieces all over this after I paint it. So I don't need to put anything crazy on there. And now to make the tombstone, I'm going to use one of my brand new business cards that the printer cut incorrectly and didn't give me a refund on. And this is going to be the underlying structure for the tombstone. I'm just adding it to a piece of clay, cutting the clay out proportionately, and then we're going to start decorating our tombstone. And this is really like my go-to tombstone design. I always like putting this little skull guy on the front of it and some little like whirly-doos. So I think it really finishes it off. And then I write RIP because I can't think of anything clever to put on it. I mean, I could think of something clever to put on it, but I don't think it would be appropriate for this channel. Now I'm going to take my good old trusty dollar store face brush and give it a nice stone texture. Just dabbing it all over the place. And let's add some cracks because why not? It's a spooky tombstone, not a new one. Now I'm going to brush on some Bacon Bond to that business card that's cut incorrectly and going to place the tombstone front on one side, and then we are going to cut out the back for the tombstone out of another piece of clay, and then we're going to sort of sandwich these around the wire that's sticking up from our base like that. Boom. Look pretty good, but it's a little too tall, so I end up trimming it and doing that again. And I just need to be extra careful that I don't smash the design. I'm going to go ahead and use my spoon tool to blend that seam. And there is a little bit of a bump from the wire in the back and that I could fix if I wanted to, but I don't. So no one's going to look at the back. Let's bake it. And once it's baked and completely cooled down, it is time for paint after I position my skeleton. And now let's enjoy some ASMR while I get my paints out. Alright, that was fun. My house isn't quiet enough to be able to make entire videos like that. But anyway, let's go in and paint our skeleton this nice off-white color. And all the paints that I'm using are Folk Art brand matte acrylics and war paints. Now to begin the satisfying process of painting dark gray on a light surface. Now while the tombstone is drying, I'm going to put a wash on this skeleton. And painting the eye sockets is really annoying and takes forever, which is why the clip is so short, because I'm holding it like 2 inches from my face and I look like crap. Now let's go ahead and dry brush the tombstone with some lighter gray, and then once that layer is done, we're going to lighten the gray a little bit more and focus on some main areas of the tombstone, like the face of the skeleton and the RIP and some of the edges. I just called a skull the face of a skeleton. It's been a long day. Now let's paint some dead grass with some very, very dark brown. Now once that super heavy coat of dark brown is completely dry, we're going to dry brush some lighter brown to give it some more dimension. And we're going to add these little doodads that I got from Jez's miniature kit. I'm going to attach them with some Mod Podge. First, this little grassy, mossy stuff. I think this is static grass and you're supposed to like hold a magnet to it so that it stands up, but I kind of want to use it as moss instead, so I'm just pressing it on. And Mod Podge is good to glue stuff like this to polymer clay, but do not glaze or varnish your sculpture with Mod Podge because it will always stay sticky. So just keep that in mind. You can glue stuff to polymer clay like this, like lightweight things, like the grass and the little cork rocks that I'll be adding, but don't ever varnish your sculpture with it because it will stay sticky forever. Now I got these little like crumbly pieces of cork that look like rocks, and I'm just going to put a liberal amount of Mod Podge on the surface and then just gently drop each rock into place with my tweezers. And when you're doing this, it feels like the rocks are never going to stick, but you just got to be patient and wait for the Mod Podge to dry because they do stick. Would I put this through a washing machine? No, but sitting on a shelf, it'll be perfectly fine. Now I'm just going to add some more Mod Podge and some little gravel pieces. I'm going to attach these like glitter on a first grade project. And I got to get more of these little pieces for miniatures because this was a blast to do. Like I could do a giant piece just made out of this stuff. I loved every second. Then I got these little stick-on patches of grass, just adding some Mod Podge for added reinforcement, and we're just going to stick those here and there. Now it's time to cover the skeleton in some creepy cloth. You can get this at the dollar store. Now is the time to get it if you want some because they have a ton of it for Halloween. Just going to dip it in just pure Mod Podge. I didn't dilute it with water. And we're just going to strategically place every piece. And I guess adding this changes the skeleton from just a skeleton to a ghoul. At least it does in my head. So let's go ahead and get all these pieces on. This was fun. Now say it with me.
And it's done! My little ghoul diorama is complete. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. Like how this thing turned out. I had a blast using all those little miniature accessory stuff like for the rocks and the moss and all that everywhere. Of course I love the addition of the fabric and the Mod Podge. The skeleton was a little tricky to make at first, but I think I got it. Again, this is an anatomy class, but overall I'm pretty happy with this guy and I really hoped you like watching me make him. As always, thank you so much for watching and being here. Be sure to get your seamstress plush before she's gone forever. Check me out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Ace of Clay, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.